Hello everyone, and today we'll be learning the Bishop versus Pawn Endgame. This is the Chess Endgame, a chess series in which I will discuss one of the most important and frequently occurring chess endgames, which will help you to become a better endgame chess player. So before we start off, first we are going to see that what is an elementary fortress. So we'll get to learn more about it in this video. So, what is an elementary fortress? An elementary fortress is a fortress by which you can hold a draw in a losing or winning king and pawn bishop versus pawns endgames. So, for example, this is the position which is from a very famous book and it is called as the Mark Dvoretsky's fifth endgame edition. And I have took this example from that book, and it is a very effective book. You can buy it also. Okay, so now we are going to see about the W pattern. As you can see, after bishop d6 and king d8, we have created a W pattern over here. The bishop has blocked the king from reaching the b8 square, so the king has moved to the d8 square. Okay, so now we are playing with the black pieces and we need to stay in the W, which you can see, which is the so-called habitable zone for this video. If we go out of it, even one square out of it, we are in a clear lost position. Okay, so now white is going to try to, suffocate us and try to move out of the W square. But we are not going to let that happen. King b7 and after king to c6 again. So as you can see, all the major squares in the boundary are blocked by the pieces. Black is in extremely deep trouble. But after king to e7, black says that no, I am not. By staying in the habitable zone. King e6 and bishop c5. Now the diagonal shifts to the next one. That's a bishop plus shift key. Now king to e5, bishop a5, and king to e6. What a brilliant move. Over here, king to d4 is an instructive mistake. Try to find the precise winning move in this position here. I hope that you have paused the video and you have found the move bishop to the d6 square. This forces the king to leave the drawing zone. We have king to c4 and after a few moves we can get the pawn and easily cut off the king from coming on this b file with our king and our bishop, and we can simply promote our pawn and lead to a nice game. King to e6, a bishop to d6, king to f7. Both the players continue with a few moves trying to stay in the drawing zone. Now finally white is able to draw the king into the corner of the board, just playing with the smooth wooden board, as they say. King to h6, can f5, king to h7. Over here, king to h5 loses on the spot as it leaves the habitable zone of the W. And as you can see, we had marked this W and leaving only one square of it would clearly lose the game, as you are in a extremely deep trouble and you just have only this one square to move. So we can continue by playing bishop to the g7 square. You're blocked here. Only way to coming to the habitable zone. King to h4. Now, what do we do? Simply start cutting off the W zone. And now we can simply move our king like this. Take over the pawn, bring the king ahead, defend the pawn, and simply go to the h8 square and make the pawn a queen. So king to h7, king to e6, king to h6. Both the players keep shuffling their pieces till the time they reach this move. Now white has managed to drive the king closer to the center, but now he has to keep it from returning to 8. As a result, black can stay well within the center. Now king to e5, king to e8, and after king to g7, this position is an equal position and both the players have agreed to a draw. A draw as there is no way to make black break through out of this habitable zone. So if you try to go closer to the pawn, black will come closer to the square, which is the 8 square, and you can't force a checkmate or a queen because the 8 square is a light colored square and we have a dark colored square, the bishop. We will be learning this in some next video, but for now, let us understand that what is the rule of the square in the bishop versus pawns. Okay, so for example, you have a light squared bishop, sorry, a dark squared bishop, which we have like this. You want to promote your pawn on this square, which is the light squared, which is a light square, and your king is not too far from it, and you can reach over there. But the black king can also easily come and sit on the 8 square, and it is extremely hard for you to drive the king out of it, or else it would be a draw. So, if the square was the a1 square or the 8 h8 square, then you could have easily forced a win, as you can easily control the winning square, which is the queening square, as you can say, and easily, just give opposition to the king and simply advance your pawns to win the game. But in this position, it is simply not possible because the 8 square is a light colored square and we have a dark colored squared bishop. Okay, so now we come on to the complicated part of this video. If you think that this one is too complicated for you, then you can take a break and then watch the video. But this is extremely important. So now we have bishop versus connected pawns, example 1. Okay, so you have stumbled upon a position like this, and now you need to stop both of these connected pawns as well as try to win. So how are you going to do this? If we ask the engine, then you should really not stay with the dependence of engine because it's really not going to help you. The thing which will only help you is trusting on your thoughts. Now, what's the best move which you can see on your screen? I would give you some seconds to think about that. So I hope that you have paused the video and you have got the move bishop to b2, stopping the pawn from advancing. Okay, so now you might think that what are you telling to us? If we play king to b4 and advance our pawn like this, we can easily win the game. Or if we are playing with the white pieces, we can easily lose the game. But no, I'm ATH2010 for a good reason. After king to b4, we have king to e4. The king comes one step closer, and now simply a4 doesn't work because of king to d3, and we are just in time to stop the pawn, and then we can simply capture this pawn if of course black allows us to, or we can simply hold a draw by keeping the bishop on the g5 square and keeping our king over here. So this one was a very easy one. Okay, but what if the king comes to the c4 square, giving opposition, right? As you explained in your previous video. Yes, you can't use my technique against me, okay? The bishop to f6, a4. You can't stop me whatever you do because if you play your pawn to a3, as we have seen, the king can easily come to the d3 square, and you can simply can't stop it, and it's always a draw. So what is the rule that we got to understand from this? Okay, so when we arrive in a position like this, first step, bring your bishop in front of the pawn. That's the best thing that you can do after it. And after a few moves, be sure to bring your king towards the pawn so that to avoid some complications. And make sure that the extra pawn you have is on the same color of your bishop. And if it isn't on the same color on the board, probably you are going to lose the game. So you should try for the best possible continuation to make a draw, or of course ask your opponent for a draw, but he's not going to take that. Okay, so this was the rule which we learned about bishop versus connected pawns. This was just a very simple example to keep things simple. I'm not making such complicated examples because you may just get confused and you may hate yourself for not getting the answer. As this series is for beginner and intermediate players, advanced players would really know that how to play such positions even if they don't know the theory. So yeah, if you are an advanced player, then you can skip this video, watch my other videos, or watch some other videos on YouTube or of Agadmeter, Chess in a Row. Many there are like many other channels on which I like. There's Gotham Chess Hanging Pawns. But if you're a beginner or intermediate player trying to learn this type of endgame, then surely you can watch this video. Okay, so we have learned about connected pawns. Now let's see about the bishop versus disconnected pawns. Okay, so this is an example, and now this is our instructive example as it is taken from the game of Mark Dvoretsky, the writer of the book Dvoretsky's Endgame Manual, 5th edition, and also all the editions. So yeah, he's the man himself, and he teaches that how can we play the disconnected pawns. Okay, so now this position might look a lot scary for white, but it actually isn't because at a certain moment, if we see that all the pawns could be stopped from a one diagonal only if the bishop is able to reach on the g5 square. So how do we do that? g6, a brilliant move, forcing black to take over here. And of course, if black does not take, then we can then after this we can simply take this pawn and we have an advanced pass pawn over here. If your opponent tries to do this, then you can simply play bishop to g5, and all the queening squares are covered and only from one diagonal, so that's two in one. And also your pawn is going to be the hero of this game. After this and this, it is going to be a draw, but yeah, there is a lot to do here, and so you have kept a losing game into a drawing game. So going a lot behind, that f takes on g6. Now we unleash the final blow. bishop to g5. Oh boy, what a move it is. You can simply all cover all the squares of the pawns by only from one diagonal. That's really great. After king to f7, your opponent will try to trick you by coming on the e6 square and coming on the f4 square. But you don't let that happen. After king to g7 and king to e7, this is a simple draw. After this, even if your opponent tries to play some weird moves like this, you can easily block all of them. And finally, after a few moves, you can easily draw the game because of insufficient material. And now we come to the second example of bishop versus disconnected pawns. Okay, so bishop versus disconnected pawns may seem you a bit complicated, but it is as easy as science. Yeah, I think that's a bad example, but anyways, it is as it is. So now what's the move over here? This may seem a draw to you, but to your horror, it is a lost position for white. So you actually can't save this game from opponent's hands. After bishop to f6, you try to cover this diagonal, but after oops, but after this move, you can play bishop to d4, and it may seem like at you had said that this is the last position, but we have covered everything with only one bishop. But okay, now just go behind in the video and watch the saying where I said that bishop covers all the things by only one diagonal. If the bishop is covering them from two diagonals, then it's a dead last position for you, as from a simple deflection tactic. First, play the move pawn to c3. It's a brilliant move. During the bishop capture the c3 pawn. After pawn to f2, you can't stop the queening square, and after a few moves, you can easily lose the game because of a queen down. And this was the what can we say, master class on the bishop versus disconnected pawns, and I hope that you enjoyed it a lot. Just remember that in disconnected pawns, if you keep your bishop on one diagonal covering everything, that's a great point. But if you are covering with two diagonals, be sure to make the position a lot easier for you so that you make sure that you don't lose the game. And also, if you enjoy this video, please be sure to give this video a like. Also subscribe to the channel, as making these videos takes a lot of editing and a process in them. So we really invest a lot of time in our videos. So if you like and subscribe, we would think that our time is going in a good direction. So we'll hope to see you in the next one very soon. Till then, stay tuned, have a great day, and bye bye.